sense.
Well,
welcome again. I hope you enjoy the show. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Yeah, Val is saying, hi, everyone. Okay, I'm just going to shut up now and let you do your thing. Thanks so much for being here, Harry.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me, for bringing me to the stage. I just want to let everybody know my camera is on my phone, but the slides are on my daughter's computer. So if I'm looking down, I'm not being rude. I'm actually just making sure I know where I am in the slides, because I don't quite know it off by heart. Close, but not quite. So I'm going to say that famous phrase that we all know, we've all heard about a million times since 2020. I'm going to share my screen for you now. Here we go. And now, just a moment, I've pressed share, so ready for the next question. We all know the next question. Can you see my screen? Hopefully you say yes. And if you don't, then never mind. Excellent, there we go. Thank you, Sonia. So welcome everybody to Cultivating Changemakers. This is my first ever APAC convention, so I'm very happy to be here. And as we can see, much like the climate, the times are a-changing. So what can we do to help the times change, but the climate not so much? Well, there's lots of different things we can do, which is great news for us. And we're going to go through a few of those today. So first up, who am I? Well, basically, this is me. I feel like singing The Greatest Showman now I've said that. I am the founder, the coffee maker, the wearer of many hats, as was mentioned previously, both figurative and literally, for Renewable English. If you don't know about Renewable English, check out Renewable English at renewableenglish.com. You can also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I think we're somewhere on TikTok, but there's not very much stuff there. I'm from Northampton. For anyone who's ever been there, I'm sorry. It's not the best place in the world. And if you have a chance to go there, maybe look at the countryside around it, because that is quite nice. I'm currently living near Seville, in a place called Valenciana de la Concepción. I'm currently in Zaragoza in a hotel room that smells a bit like cheesy feet. Not mine. I've still got my shoes on, so it's definitely not that. I really like flags, secondhand shirts, and my dog. They're a few of my favorite things. I'm also quite a big fan of my family. They're pretty cool too. But come on, look at that face. It's just adorable. And I really, really, really don't like green peppers. I mean, seriously, who invented green peppers? They're just not ripe red peppers. It's like, would you eat a green orange? Would you eat a green banana? Would you eat a white aubergine? You wouldn't do it. So why would you eat a green pepper? But anyway, that's enough about me. Let's talk about you for a moment. So there's a few ways of seeing us. Don't worry, they'll come up again at the end. I'd like to ask you this question. This one question with various solutions.
Harry, do you want me to launch the poll?
Go for it. Launch the poll. That would be amazing.
Vamos.
There we go. So, what do you hope to get from today's session? Some ideas to green up my mind in my classroom, a great time and some training, a certificate, obviously. I just came for the tea and biscuits. Someone said there would be tea and biscuits.
Harry,
I'm going to give you
sideways.
12 more seconds.
Harry?
Hello.
You just went sideways.
Ah, there we go. That's better. It's because the poll opened, so I'm going to give you another 7 seconds to finish the poll, and then I'm going to go back. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to end the poll. Hopefully, share the results. Now I can come back. There, you can see the results. Hooray! Everybody is here for a great time, awesome ideas, but one person wants biscuits. Now I need to go back to this. And there we go.
Sorry to disappoint. You'll get the biscuits tomorrow.
Well, that was uncomfortable.
It was tomorrow, not today. It was tomorrow.
Biscuits tomorrow. Darn it. I do have an empty coffee cup here that I can offer you, but that's about it. Thank you so much. So here are those different things. I had them here just in case the poll didn't work. The poll did work, and we know that most people are here for A and B, which is lovely. So today we're going to be talking about these different ideas. We're going to be talking about what is a change maker, how do you feel, what can I do? By I mean you. And then, of course, there will be a Q&A at the end, some questions and answers for those of you that didn't know what a Q&A was. I'm sure most of you did. So, quick question. How many of these can you name? You don't have to write the names of them. You can just write the number of how many you can name. Now, I'm guessing at a glance, most of you can instantly name, I don't know, 9. There we go, 9. All of them, excellent, all of them, yeah. Everyone, all of them, super easy. Congratulations, 5 points for everybody. Excellent. Now, next question. How many of these can you name? Interesting. Oh, we've got 2. Oh, we've got 3. Very good. We've got some horticulturalists among us. 1, very good. So I will reveal, I won't make anybody embarrass themselves. We've got obviously the watermelon flower that I took in my front garden. We have a pumpkin flower. We have garlic flowers. I live in Seville, so obviously, of course, a bit of azar. Then a bit of apple blossom. Oh, I didn't know that one. And the last one might be a bit easier. If you've ever been to Japan or watched anything vaguely Japanese, it's sakura, as they call it, or cherry blossom. Which is why, interestingly enough, if you ever see a Japanese restaurant called Sakura, it's named after the cherry blossom. There's a fun fact for you. Okay, how many of these folks do you recognize? I'll give you a clue. Some of them are quite Barcelona-centric and ex-Barcelona-centric as well, I guess. Okay, we've got quite a few there. Excellent. Good. Okay, so there are the names for any of you that didn't know any of them. If you didn't know Kim Kardashian, congratulations. You're one of the lucky ones. If you didn't know Mr. Beast, you're one of about the 6% of population that haven't subscribed to his YouTube channels. He's got over 200 million subscribers, so I'm not far behind with my 562 or something. But I'm catching him up, I'm sure. So next question, how many of these can you name? Four, that's not bad, eh? That's pretty good. 4 out of 7's pretty. Oh, we've got 5. We've got 6 in there. Wow. Okay. So 3, I think. Good. You do it, yeah. A lot of 3s there, Carla. I see your second surname is Udrera as well. It's a nice little pueblo in near Seville. Well, here are those names. We have Edward Jenner, of course, famous for discovering the vaccine. Another fun fact, vaccine sounds like vaca. It does, doesn't it? That's because Edward Jenner discovered the vaccine for smallpox, which was cowpox. So the cowpox comes from, obviously, we know the Latin word vaca. So vaccine, vaccination comes from vaca. So every time you go and get your vaccines, then you're getting a bit of cow put in you. Exactly, moo indeed. Then we have Sir Isaac Newton. I dropped the Sir. I just left Isaac Newton there. I don't think he'll be offended. Then, of course, we've got Rosa Parks, Katherine Johnson, who helped get us to the moon. If you've ever seen the film Hidden Figures, you'll know that. If you've never seen the film Hidden Figures, you should watch it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a former Supreme Court judge. Then we have Emily Wilding Davidson, the suffragette famous for throwing herself in front of the King's horse at the Derby. And then, of course, Abraham Lincoln. Another fun fact for you. When I was young, I thought his name was Adrian. Adrian Lincoln, that famous US president. So there are some, most of us knew at least half of these. Now, how about these wonderful folks? How many of these do you know? I agree. Adrian definitely does sound better. So we've got one in there, none. Okay. So I'm just curious, which ones of these that we've seen do you think were the logos? Which ones were the Google? Well, no, they can't be real people. No, they're not, because they're not celebrities, Cadler. So they're not. I'm afraid they're not real. Um, which ones of these were Google and your Amazons, and which ones of these do you think were the flowers? I'm going to just pop their names up now. These are, as you may or may not know, the flowers. And these, like the previous photos, are change makers. These are people who are out in the world making a difference. We've got Amy and Ella Meek, who are the founders, the co-founders of Kids Against Plastic, my favorite UK-based charity. Also a charity that I happen to be a trustee for, and the one that my daughter is a member of. Fionn Ferreira, who is an LGBTQ plus chemist, genius, inventor, has found a way to remove microplastics from water using oil and magnetism. I don't know how it works, but when I saw him speak, he told me I should play with Lego more. So anyone who tells me to play with Lego is my kind of person. Also, you know, saving the world from plastic, another cool thing. Victoria Herman, who is a scientist. We've got Clover Hogan, who is a voice about eco-anxiety, and she works with a lot of large corporations to try and help them become sustainable for the right reasons. Alicia Waters Galan, strangely enough, is actually my daughter. So if you have ever followed any of my social media channels, you will know her. She's doing various things at the moment. She's actually in drama class, which should be fun. And then Melati Visen, who is from Bali, of Dutch parents, and she runs Youthtopia, which is a way of empowering young change makers from around the world. So these are all the flowers, and they've already turned into fruit as well. We just don't recognize them yet. I'd probably put Ali down as something more like a watermelon. She's definitely not a pumpkin. That's more my kind of beard, I think. So I'd like to know, how do you feel when I say the words climate crisis? How do you feel? Do you feel scared? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel guilty? That's my favorite guilty pleasure. I call it Nutella fingers. Or do you feel powerless, maybe? Or do you maybe feel uninterested? I think something that's really important to think about here, Adam he's hit the nail on the head. He's put his finger on it. It is all of the above. I think it depends on the day about how we feel. Yeah, except uninterested. Thank you. Yeah, that's about the only one. So Franklin Roosevelt once said that the only thing we had to fear was fear itself. But I actually think he was wrong, and I'm more on the side of what we have to fear is actually apathy. So this idea of being uninterested, to me, is much more scary than somebody coming to me saying, Harry, I'm really worried because, you know, the climate's changing and things are, you know, there's no water. I'm really worried about it. There's somebody who has a desire to make change. They have a desire to do something. Whereas when you know, flash up these things and students or people just say, yeah, I don't really think about it. That's what strikes fear into my heart when people just say, I don't really know. So I like to use this climate emotions wheel at the start of my classes. You know, whenever we go into class, we always say to our students, how are you today? I'm fine. And you? I'm fine. Yeah, we get into that. We kind of get into that horrible habit, and it becomes this kind of mantra almost in class. It's a very British thing as well to just say you're fine even when you're not. I like to ask my students how they feel on different days about different things. It doesn't have to just be about the climate crisis. You know, in Barcelona, for example, you could ask about how they're feeling about water shortages. You could ask how they're feeling about all sorts of different things. But you can also add in positive news to kind of add more of this positivity side. You know, how do you feel about these young change makers? How do you feel about this wonderful piece of news that we've just had? How do you feel about the EU's new law against greenwashing? You can add in these positive things. And as Adam mentioned, we do feel all of these different things to a different amount. And we need to make sure our classrooms are a safe space for our students to come into and be like, do you know what, teacher? Today, I'm just feeling a bit frustrated. You know, today I'm just feeling a bit depressed because of this, that, and the other. And you can say, that's okay. You know, it's perfectly normal to feel that way. Let's see what we can do about it. But first, the present continuous. Yeah. Maybe not quite that way. I've got a great way for you to forget about this. Let's talk about the third conditional. But I'm only 7, teacher. What does that mean? I don't know. So the big question, what can I do? Well, you can do a lot. There's a famous saying, some people attribute it to the Dalai Lama. I'm not sure exactly who said it, but it's, you know, if you ever feel like you're too small to make a difference, try falling asleep with a mosquito in the room. You know, it's difficult. However, I'm going to let you in on a secret. My superpower is actually killing mosquitoes in the dark. I'm not even joking. I've done it 8 times in my life, which is fairly useless because after I've done it, I turn on the lights to check that I've killed it, and I wake my wife up and say, look, I did it again. So yeah, what can you do? We can all do something. And as teachers, we have got like amazing power. And as Uncle Ben said in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And we do have a huge responsibility, not only to our students, but also, I'm going to be honest here, I'm going to be selfish, we have a responsibility to ourselves. Because whenever we looked at the climate crisis in the past, it was always this kind of distant thing in the future that our future generations would have to deal with, and we were leaving the planet terribly for them, but we're also leaving it not particularly great for ourselves. Now, I'm almost 40, not yet. 24th of March, I turned 40. Feel free to send me birthday messages. And I'm hoping that I'll be alive for, I don't know, at least another 30 years, maybe 40, even 50. I don't know. Modern medicine's pretty good, so it could keep me going until then. But in that amount of time, there are going to be a lot of changes that happen. There's going to be a lot of things if we don't start making changes now. So we need to make sure that in those 40 years, the people that we are teaching are going to be able to do something about it, are going to be able to make these changes, and they're not going to allow for things to get worse. And they can start that right now. So we can do these 3 fantastic E's. We can engage, we can empower, and we can enact. Now, I could have put act for the last one, but that would have worked just fine, but it doesn't have the same ring to it. EEA, it just doesn't sound like the 3 E's. It has a much more powerful ring to it. So I went with enact, but basically it's act. And we're going to go through these 3 different stages of, it's kind of an evolution for our students to go from climate zero to climate hero, I guess. The 3 E's to climate heroism. That's a new one. Engage, empower, act. Yes, I like that, Adam. That's a good one. Definitely not words, but that's fine. I like, we can invent new words. The 3 A's. Brilliant. And this kind of evolution process is something we just have to go through. I wish we could all suddenly just say to our students, okay, now get out there and protest and make sure these things don't happen. But we have to go through the stages. We have to go through the stages of turning off the tap when you're brushing your teeth, to having shorter showers, to doing our recycling. You know, these things have to happen. They're not an answer. They're definitely the first step. You know, it's definitely part of engaging. So how else can we engage our students? And I was so silly, I didn't bring any water, and now I've got the driest mouth in the world. Engage. Here we go. What can we do to engage our students? What is the spice of life, everybody? Drum roll. Variety. Yay! Variety is the spice of life. The Sustainable Development Goals are not the spice of life. That would not add much flavor to your food. You know, you're making your omelet and you're like, oh, I'll add some za'atar, I'll add some sumac, oh, I'll add a bit of good health and well-being. Yeah, so the Sustainable Development Goals are a brilliant way to bring in various different areas of sustainability. They're also really colourful. So with our young learners, they really grab the eyes. But they bring about so many different areas of sustainability. And the thing about the climate crisis, the thing about, you know, the poly crisis, there are all sorts of things that are happening that aren't wonderful in the world. Let's be perfectly honest. We can't be passionate about all of them. You can't fix everything. You can't end single-use plastic use, dismantle, you know, the fossil fuel industry, and, you know, bring about the end of capitalism and start a degrowth economy. Not all in 1 week, anyway. So you have to find different areas, and your students will all be passionate about something different. They're not all going to love. They're not all going to be anti-single-use plastic. You're not going to be able to make them all go against fast fashion, because no matter what, teenagers like cheap clothes that they can get delivered to their house within 3 days. You know, teenagers like that kind of thing. Lots of people like that kind of thing. I'm super proud of my wife because she stepped away from fast fashion. She's gone into, you know, using secondhand, using vintage and stuff like that. And I want to say hats off to her for that, because she was always so obsessed with buying super cool new clothes. She still does that. They're just secondhand now. Anyway, variety. Find what your students are passionate about. Find what connects to your students. And how can we do that? We can do that with interest. We can do that with proximity. There's me in a different hat, in a different shirt, at a different protest. And of course, connection. So what do I mean by these three different things? So interest is how interested our students in the topic. I suggest using social media because most of our students are fairly keen on social media. Most of them have social media. Most of them use social media. And I like to call this one TrickTok. I set them homework to go and find 3 vegan recipes, or to go and find a new person to follow, or to go and find an eco-influencer, or to go and find a new environmental trend. Then they have to send that to their classmates, and then the best one that they find, they'll vote on, and you'll show it in the class. Now, if you do this a few times over a few weeks, number one, they like that homework because they're getting to sit there and watch TikTok or Reels or whatever they like to use. Number two, it tricks their algorithm, and eventually these English-speaking wonderful things come up again and again and again. And it's not just cute videos of dogs or people shaking whichever part of their body shakes. I'm not jealous, it's just nothing on me shakes just yet. So it's a great way of getting your students into it, and that way they also get some wonderful vegan recipes. Stories are amazing, particularly with younger learners, but we use storytelling throughout the ages. That's me doing a storytelling in a park. You can tell the time it was around 2021. You can see I've got a mask just under my chin there. I daringly took it off even outside, but the students were far away from me. There are all sorts of stories that are about the climate crisis, that are about youth empowerment and students using their voices. There are things like the Lorax, which is amazing. It's a really old school book as well from Dr. Seuss. Greta and the Giants is a really good one about students using their voices. It's based on a very famous Greta, and sitting there and, making this protest that then grew and grew and grew. And then Here We Are is another one, which is all about the wonderful planet that we live on, some of the amazing things that can happen. So use these stories to get your particularly younger students really involved. Proximity was the next one. I'm really sorry, but whenever my students opened the book to the climate change unit that they used to have, that's slowly changing now, it would be about polar bears dying. And I'm really sorry to say it, but most Spanish people don't really care about polar bears dying, because what relevance does it have to them? I mean, it's not even an albino gorilla dying, because that was sad. That was in Barcelona Zoo, obviously, many years ago. That was sad because it was relevant to Barcelona. But polar bears dying, most of my students are like, whatever, they're polar bears. It's sad, but you know what? I don't care. Make it local. Bring it to something that is happening nearby. I don't know if you can see that picture there. There's a really cute little boy in the corner. Isn't he sweet? That was back in 1988. They were trying to introduce library fees in my local town. And, as you can see, the angry protesters came out. I was obviously very angry to be protesting at the age of 4 with that giant smile on my face. So bring the local issues up. Get the students to know something about where they're living. Yeah, definitely encourage your students to be, involved in anarchy. I'm not saying that. I'm just reading what Adam said in the chat. Just reading that. So look at photos of your neighborhood. Is there a rubbish issue? Are there problems with, there's a big problem at the moment in Catalonia with a lack of water. It's something that everyone can get involved in. Issues at school. Is your school using too much single-use plastic? Are you expanding airports somewhat unnecessarily? Yes, everywhere is apparently. Get your students to see these things, because they're things that they can actually get involved in. They're things that they can actually make a big difference with, where their voice can be heard and they can make changes. And then the connection. The connection is something that you have to feel to what you're doing. And again, I've got 3 of the same letters. So inclusion, interest, and importance. Are your students being included in this issue? Are they interested in this issue? And is it important to them? But also, are they important to it? So if there's no connection to the issue, then again, they'll lose interest very quickly. So when we're introducing these ideas, we need to find ideas that our students will be connected to. We need to find ideas that they will be interested in and that will be important to them. I'm just making sure I'm not going too far over time here. So there we go. I'm all good. I'm all good. And a few more connections we can do. My wonderful favorite activity of all, I think, is the 2-minute tweet, because it's a way of connecting every lesson to the climate crisis. At the end of the lesson, whatever you've been teaching, whatever subject you've crossed over, be it sport, fashion, family, spend 2 minutes at the end of the session writing a tweet. I know it's called an X now, I guess. But anyway, 280 characters focused on that issue. So, for example, there are lots of links between food and the climate crisis. What we eat has an impact on the planet. The planet also has an impact on what we can eat. We need to take our time to think about what we eat and what we don't eat. Waste. So at the end of your food lesson, you don't even have to focus on the enormous water impacts that cows have on the planet. You don't need to tell all your students to go vegan. You don't need to suggest that they take a more plant-based diet. You can do that. The pork industry, exactly, all of these different things, but making sure that they are aware at the end of the lesson to think about the impact of what the planet has to do, what the lesson has to do with the planet, and also connecting the lesson to the SDGs. So, for example, having a look at the UK, if you have, a floating barge to house your the people who have come to your country escaping war or the climate crisis, if you house them on a giant prison ship, what kind of SDGs are you infringing there, Mr. Sunak and co? But let's not get into that now, because I might get into rant mode. So that's the first step, to engage your students, to get them to care about what they're learning about, to get them to care about what they're talking about as well. The next step is to empower your students. Now, empower seems to be a bit of a buzzword within education, within the world really at the moment. And it's something that I think teachers have always done. I think we've always empowered our students. We've always tried to make them do whatever they can. And I remember my parents always saying to me, you can do whatever you want, Harry, you can achieve whatever you want. And I was like, can I have an ice cream, Mum? No ice cream for you. Absolutely not. So obviously we can't give all our students ice creams, but what we can do is give them the power to feel like they can make a difference. We can help them feel like they can make a difference. And how can we do that? We can make sure that different ideas, they are student-led. So we will have some project ideas coming up, but let your students take the lead. I know that Michelle is doing a talk at the moment in the other room, not obviously to me, she lives in Jerez, but she's currently doing a talk, and I imagine it has a lot to do with inquiry and these different ideas. So let your students take that lead. You are there to help guide your students. You are there to show them the way. Now, I know that my habit of doing projects used to be, we are the Andalusian English mafia. We're going to take over the EFL world. Rah. Watch out. We're there to help show them where to go, to help guide them along the way, not tell them what to do and then to copy. I used to do projects, I'd make a model and say, look, copy this. But we can guide our students, and we can also give them the support they need. So if they want to introduce a meat-free Monday, or they want to start a cycle to school scheme, they can start that, but we can give them the spices. Exactly. We can support them. If they want to talk to the local mayor about something, we can help get them that meeting. We can be the person. We can pull strings, but not puppet type strings. We can pull machine strings, but not make them anyway. So guide them and support them. So here are a few ideas. I've disconnected. Hello? Hello, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
You can still hear me. My screen just stopped sharing for no reason. That was scary. Is it back?
Yeah, it's back.
Woo! That was fun. And also incredibly nerve-wracking. I hope you can still see and hear me. Everything's gone all weird all of a sudden now. So I can see myself in one screen, but not the other. So I'm going to continue. Here we go. Projects. Here are a few projects that can be student-led. Suggest to them that you're going to make a bee bath. Get them to investigate how to do it. Get them to look at what they can do. Bees love purple, but you don't need to tell them that. They can find that out for themselves. You can say, what color do bees like? Do a plastic audit. This is a brilliant way to involve maths in your classes. It's also a great way to involve recycling in your classes. It's also a great way to help reduce the amount of single-use plastic you are using. So it's not about shaming. It's not about looking over and saying, oh no, look, Pepe is using a plastic bottle. He's terrible. He's killing the planet. It's more about looking over and saying, oh, look, Indy has a beautiful bottle, a reusable bottle. Isn't that cool? Isn't that lovely? Isn't Indy wonderful? Where did you buy that bottle, Indy? Oh, I bought it at Tiger. for example. I love New York mug. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. So encouraging your students on ways to reduce plastic is great, but doing these plastic audits is something I started doing during the pandemic with my recycling. My daughter and I would count up everything. We'd also look at which different types of plastic could be recycled. And we found that as soon as we were conscious and aware of it, it was a really easy way to reduce the unnecessary single-use plastics that we were buying, that we were using. Exactly, more joy, less shame. And then an eco club. Now, whether you're in an academy or you're in a school, eco clubs can be something you do. You can have a special Friday eco club, and this is the best place to empower your students. This is a wonderful, wonderful place to put them on the floor. You don't even have to go into the room with them. You know, they can take all of their ideas in there, and you can just listen to the feedback afterwards. And again, yes, ideally it would be done entirely in English. That's not always going to be the case. Don't shame your students again for using Spanish or Catalan, whatever they need to use to get their ideas across. It's not an exam. Life isn't an exam, strangely enough, no matter what the Spanish education system would like you to believe. Life is not an exam. I love to say, my daughter loves coming home and telling me her exam results, and I love saying, do you feel happy with those results? I don't mean to be rude, but the result isn't what bothers me. The fact that you care about learning is what bothers me more. So an eco club is the perfect way to show your students that they can make a difference and they can take the lead. They can be the guide on those different things. This is I love it. I love it. At the moment, I'm actually doing a project with my students. We are currently making plant pots in our class with the same students that you can see this penguin and this earth. Last year we were doing the animals. Wow, great work, Harry. Last year we were doing animals. And I asked my students to bring in the plastic, to bring in their recycling, and we were going to upcycle those things into different animals. That was all I said. I said, you do whatever you want. It's up to you. This is your project. This is your thing. And as you can see, that they made the saddest looking animals in the world. There's a penguin who's covered in plastic and crying. And then the turtle that they made has the earth covered on it, and you can see all the different microplastics filling the ocean. So kind of sad, but also kind of beautiful that they had there was no input from me other than me standing there nervously while they were using the hot glue gun and saying, don't burn yourself, your parents will kill me, don't burn yourself. But this came entirely from them, and they are 10 or 11 years old. This year we're making a plant pot because we're propagating some spider plants that we're going to plant as well, which is incidentally chapter 1 in the book that I'm currently writing, that will be available on the 18th of November. You'll hear more about that in future. So anyway, it's all about having a plant and making a plant pot. So upcycled art is a beautiful way to start this. Do it with plant pots. Get plants into your classroom, get plants around your classroom. I have a whole nother session based on plants, and I sadly don't have enough time to talk about them for as long as I'd like to today, but I am a little bit obsessed with propagating and plants. And I now have about 15 students who are also a little bit obsessed. And as Ollie says, plantastic, beautiful. But you can do so much with upcycling, and also you save loads of money. Everyone says being sustainable is so expensive. Well, actually, it's not that expensive if you're not out there buying Beyond Meat and sustainable fabrics. You can use a lot of things and you can save a lot of money by being sustainable. So that's empowering. Those ideas, you're helping your students get this idea. Your students feel empowered because what they've done with that plastic is given it another use in life. You know, that it's not going to be around until the year 2473. So it's all down to the most important part, and that is the act, or enact, as we're going to say for today. So here are a few project ideas. Go on a litter pick. get out there and do a litter pick. There are the very students right there who made those different things. There we are, out on a litter pick. We just did a quick 5-minute blitz at the back of my house. There's me without a hat. It was very windy. And as you can see, Valentina has just trodden in something. Go on a litter pick. You can really empower your students to see the area that they've made a difference. If you can't do that with your students because of insurance reasons, maybe do a school run litter pick. So on their way to class, they bring in different litter and you have a look at the different types of litter that they've collected. Do give them a warning, don't pick up glass. Ask their parents to go with them so they don't pick up any used condoms, which is something that happens quite a lot down that road there. Not particularly pleasant. No, don't pick up that. Leave it alone, Nadia. No. So even with the pick of things, that's not ideal. Litter picks are a great way to get students involved. A great friend of mine, Patrick Jackson from Picker Pals, once said to me, the truest thing ever, litter picking is a gateway drug to environmentalism. It really does get you hooked. And my daughter is a prime example of that as well. Do a clothes swap. Something that Spanish people don't seem to understand is secondhand is actually fine. So if you're swapping those clothes rather than, going to a charity shop. Oh no, but what if someone else has worn them? That's what a washing machine's for. Sorry. Do a clothes swap, do a book swap. Luckily, I'm not sponsored by any kind of publisher, so I can actually say that. Do a book swap, get your textbooks, share them around. Go in, everybody do that in your academy. Sorry if your academy makes money off textbooks. But that's a great way of making a difference to the planet, but also saving money. Oh, I like that phrase. What is not shared is lost. And then letter writing campaigns or campaigns in general. Letter writing campaigns are great. There's a brilliant one on Kids Against Plastic. And by the way, you can have these slides. I have sent them to our glorious leader who will be able to send them on to you afterwards. And if you do have any questions, yes, you, of course. She has them, but if you want them, you can ask for them from me as well. Do a letter writing campaign because that is also, funnily enough, connected to exams. You have to write letters and emails and everything. So why not do it about something your students are passionate about and not your English speaking friend has written you an email. He wants to know what you're doing this weekend. Yeah, my English readings, whatever. Sure thing, John. Yeah, John. John definitely wrote me an email asking me what I'm doing this weekend. Come on. Exam boards. John doesn't write that. Writes me a WhatsApp saying emojis. But so, come on. At least this is something students are passionate about and it's real and they can relate to. So get involved in letter writing campaigns. More things, Harry, more things. Showcase what your students are doing. Do an art show. This is an art show from a school I work with in India who like to showcase what they were getting up to. But not all of your students are artistic. Not all of them like drawing. Some of them like to stand on a stage and talk about things. So do a presentation about what they're passionate about. Some of them really hate standing on a stage and talking about things. Why not make a podcast or make a video presentation? Now, we often make our students do that presentation where they stand up there and they read their PowerPoint to everybody and we say, great job, well done. You spent hours on your PowerPoint and then you read it to everybody. It was amazing. Maybe recording it's a better idea because then they can watch it back. They can actually give themselves some feedback. The only people getting any benefit out of those presentations where you force them to stand at the front of the classroom and read their PowerPoint are the people who are there watching them read their PowerPoint that they could also read themselves. So if we're not going to teach them and train them how to give presentations that aren't just reading from a PowerPoint, why not get them to record it and watch it back? And then also, why not go for a protest? You may recognize those signs from earlier in the presentation. They have been reused. Don't you worry. And that was right after the storytelling. We did a little protest. You can see they're all still wearing their masks. Okay, so that is just about that. This is how you can get in touch with me. I think I've left, left 4 minutes. Look at that. So if you have any questions, you can ask them. I'll leave this on the screen for you. I am going to show you something else that I didn't include in the PowerPoint, but I am going to show you. It's about a campaign that my daughter is working on. It's called the 1 million litter pick. So you've got all of that there. Feel free to take a screenshot. It's all renewable English-based stuff. Anyway, I'm just going to. So I will stop sharing my screen for just a moment. So my daughter is working on a campaign. Here we go. I found it. Look at that. I'm a genius. Now I need to share my screen again, which means I need to make Zoom work. But it's not working. Where's it gone? There we go. Here we go. I don't know why I put my get in touch thing before this. That was schoolboy error, Harry. Absolute schoolboy. So there we go. Woo-doo! I can't make it full screen, I'm afraid, because the Zoom bar is in the way. I need to move out of the way. Come on, get out of the way, Zoom bar. Here we go. There we go. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Turn on your microphone. So Ali is doing a pick called the 1 million litter pick, where she's trying to collect 1 million pieces of litter. Not alone. She's doing it with people across the globe. And because of this, she's been invited to speak at a talk in Paris called Change Now. You can see it there. And she said to me, Daddy, if we're going to a climate summit, I think it's better that we don't fly. So why don't we take an electric car? Brilliant idea, Ali. You're not the one who has to drive 4,000 kilometers in an electric car. Anyway, so we are going in an electric car to Paris. We will be going through Barcelona on the 22nd to the 23rd of March. So if you're around, please, please, please do come hang out. Let's go for a litter pick together. It will be wonderful. It will be great. If you would like to donate something towards it, by all means, €1, €2, 8,000 euros, whatever you can afford. You know, I know we're all English teachers here, so we're all incredibly rich. We all have so much disposable income. But yeah, more importantly, if you'd like to share it, but I would really, really like to see you and have a litter pick with you. Maybe we could do some high fives. I love hugs as well. They're brilliant. You can all say, wow, Harry, you're tall. And I could say, yeah, I am. Why is it okay to say that? But if somebody isn't tall, you can't say to them, wow, you're really short. I don't get that. You know, nobody says, wow, Harry, your beard is just as majestic in real life. Can I touch it? Yes, by the way, you can. So I would like to leave you with one small thought. And that is that everyone has change making in their DNA, and it's just a matter of unlocking it. Now, usually when I'm speaking to students, I tell them that they're the people that have the key. They have a key. There are other people with keys. They are parents, they are teachers, they are coaches. They are the adults around them who are there to support and help and push and make sure. You've got some exceptional puns, Ollie. They are punnerific. They're puntastic. They're really punny. So there we go. That, I believe now, is actually that. I will stop sharing. Are there any questions? Some lovely people have said some lovely things there in the chat. They've said that they enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much, Ray, and thank you. Your students must have lots of. You'd have to ask them. They may have fun. They may just, you know. Lots of my students are very lucky because my wife, who is a photographer, we do volunteer teaching in our village for those who can't afford to go to academies in the village. So we have volunteer classes, as you can see the plastic from them. And yeah, so my wife is there. She is actually the greatest teacher I've ever seen in my life. I just normally come in and make everybody laugh, distract them, and you know, act as a terrible classroom assistant. Sonia, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you in Portugal as well. I'm afraid the litter pick doesn't quite go through Portugal. I'm not sure I could take any more than 12 days. I don't think my wife and daughter could take any more than 12 days in a car with me driving, and I sing endlessly when I drive, and it's horrible. It's really bad. I would hate to be my own passenger. But I do like to visit Portugal. In fact, I probably go to Portugal 3 or 4 times a year because it's like right there and really fun to tease my good friends who live in Australia, because they can't go to another country in an hour and a half, and I can. So I guess, yeah, that's just kind of that. You'll be in Barcelona before the 22nd of March. Well, you need to be there on the 22nd of March, unless by before it you mean you'll be there and staying there. No. But by the way, I will be in Braga in May, and I will be doing a litter pick in Braga in May, if you'd like to join me, of course. I do litter picks everywhere. In fact, this evening, I'm probably going to do a litter pick here in Zaragoza. Oh, very nice. Ollie's showing us his trinkets. I don't have any trinkets here. I'm afraid I've just got a bag. And there we go. I've gone 2 minutes over. I'm eating into your break time, which is unacceptable. It's not okay. I apologize. I'm going to hand over for me, she's just here. I don't know where she is for you, but for me, she's just here. So, our glorious leader.
Harry, I'm speechless. Thank you so much. I mean, I really don't know what to say. It was probably the best well-spent afternoon, Friday afternoon for, quite a few months, actually. I think some people are nodding. I mean, Friday afternoons, they're usually pretty hardcore with students. With you, wow. I mean, seriously, wow. Yeah. So, I mean, it was amazing. Thanks a million for your sense of humor, for your ideas, for your optimism. I mean, it's contagious. We need more Harrys. We really do.
We really don't. Fewer. I think there's already one too many. And I did just say thanks to everybody, but I was speaking as my daughter. So when Ali said thanks there in the chat, that was actually me. I am her, she is me, I think. So, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. Next year, I'll try and make it to the face-to-face conference.
Oh,
so you can all say, wow, Harry, you're really tall.
We promise not to say that, seriously.
It's okay. I'll just tell everyone they're really short, as long as we know in advance, and that's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy your break. Enjoy tomorrow. I'm sorry I can't be there. I'm not that far away. I'm in Zaragoza, so I'm closer than I would be, but my hearing, despite the enormous ears, isn't quite good enough to go all the way there. So thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to go and collect some litter, because that's what I do. Have a lovely evening and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.